We are back into our gym series. Right now, we're going through a series of spiritual disciplines. And last week, Matt graced us with submission as a spiritual discipline. And today, I'm going to transition us into service. Everybody loves to serve, right? Yes, no, maybe so. So, for me, submission and service kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to kind of weave the two and kind of land into service. But for me, submission sounds easy as well as service. But how do you submit to a power-driven system? One that thrives on hierarchy and competition and comparison. One that instead of nurturing human dignity, it convinces us that our worth is measured by status, wealth, and recognition. It's a scarcity system whispering that there's not enough love, there's not enough resources or success to go around. So we must fight each other for a seat at the table. A performative system pushing us to put on masks and to chase fame and seek validation from others rather than living out who we truly are. A divisive system that set us against each other along the race of race, gender, class, politics, religion, ideology, that we are so busy fighting each other that we don't see the deeper chains of oppression. So how do we submit and serve in a culture like this? When do we draw the line of submission and service? Is there ever a time that we can draw the line? Or must we just submit and serve to all things? Anything goes. Well, for me, it's a personal journey. I feel like you have to go deeper with God to navigate that. I've been in the military 22 years and been around, seen a lot, done a lot. And a lot of my years I've dealt with racism and being in a male-driven society, a definitely hierarchy where if you ain't the right rank, you mean nothing. And I can be at the top of the chain on the enlisted side, but the officers is a whole nother beast within itself, and they think if you got a degree or because you wear those bars that all the enlisted is less than. And we got degrees too. And at the end of the day, they strategically plan, but without the enlisted who execute this plan, all they doing is dreaming. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to do both. You can't just push out orders and not be willing to serve. So how do we manage that? How do we navigate that? How do I walk through life with oppression and say, do I supposed to just take this? Do I supposed to submit to another person who is mistreating me, judging me, putting me down, neglecting me, making my self-worth questionable? Or is there a time where we can say, God, what are you doing in this season? I think back to probably like 10 years ago at this point, I was ready to just walk out. And I'm like, God, what do you want me to do in this season? And here I am near retirement. So sometimes submission looks like sitting through some of the difficult times and moments and saying, hey, God, this is not a sign of weakness. Sometimes that submission looks like I'm waiting to hear from you, because we may not know what's on the other end. Sometimes we like to just react and say, I'm not doing it. Like Pastor Tracy said, you're not the boss of me. But sometimes submitting to God, we're not submitting to systems per se. We're not submitting to humans. That's the difference. We have decided as humans that the scripture meant submit to me because I'm in authority. When it's not about telling you to submit per se to people, especially unjust systems. It's telling you to submit first and foremost to God. Surrendering and submission doesn't mean that you yield to bitterness and fear, but you hand that over to God. The act of surrendering is actually a resistance in itself. The blacks and the indigenous people, the immigrants, LGBTQIA communities, the poor and working class, people with disabilities, all carry a unique yet interconnected form of trauma and oppression. And each day feels like survival, and survival alone can be exhausting, but that's an act of resistance. The real question is, how do you give when you feel like you have nothing left to give? Service is no longer about giving from abundance, but trusting God multiplies even from the smallest acts of kindness. It's the speaking to people. After church on Sunday, Miss Joanne sat at my table and she said, "I'm really tired today." And actually, I was in a crappy mood too. And sitting there, we shared a meal, we laughed, we talked, and at the end of that, we both left refreshed, laughing, smiling. It's those little acts of kindness that at the end of the day, regardless of what you got going on, somebody can come and wash you off. And it doesn't even have to be intentional. It's just submitting to the moment to say, hey, in this moment, I'm going to embrace this conversation, embrace the person in front of me, put aside my own stuff, and embrace this moment and see what happens. So hope is not a naive optimism. It's a radical decision to believe that oppression does not have the final word. And joy is not pretending that everything is fine. It's choosing to anchor yourself in God's promises even when reality feels heavy. You can serve others in love without letting a broken system rob you of your dignity. And I think about the different movements, even the civil rights movement, where to some people doing the sit-ins and the marches and the nonviolence looked as weakness, when actually they shine a light on the injustices. So sometimes we look at submission or the things that we do, the acts of kindness, as people like, no, you got to do something about it. You got to show them your power. You got to fight back. But fighting back sometimes is just doing that. Nonviolence, coming together as a community and saying, hey, this is what we believe in. That's why I love Cornerstone, is because we get together and we fight against these same things, that all are welcome here, regardless of your gender, your sexuality, your race, your disabilities. All are welcome here. And at the end of the day, we fight against those systems that are in place that says, hey, you can't let these people in the church. You can't let these people serve. You can't do this. And what we do is we say, no, all are welcome to serve. All are welcome to be loved and shown dignity and respect. And that's how you fight against these systems, to say, hey, we're not just doing nothing and we're not just submitting to the system. We don't have to break a law to say these doors of this church is open to all. And that's how you do it. It's the going deeper, the asking God, and that's your own personal journey to say, what do you want me to do in this season? That when my boss is crappy, when my relationships are crappy and toxic and undermining, how do I remain in a positive state and walk through life, submitting and serving others? So that brings me to my focal point today, which is service, and it's from John 13, and it's verses 1 through 17 if you want to read it. However, I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just going to summarize it. So do not quote me on this summary. It is how I interpret the Bible, how I replay what I've read. So here it is. So what happens is, We're at the Passover, and the disciples are sitting down to eat a meal. They eat a meal, and they sitting at the table with dirty, dusty feet. So imagine coming over somebody's house, they invite you to dinner, and their kids got their feet propped up on the table, dirty hands, ain't nobody washed their hands and sit down for this meal, and they expect you to eat at this table. So they sitting there, they eat the meal, and everything goes on, and Jesus gets up, he grabs a towel, he grabs a basin of water, and he starts washing their feet. And Peter says, "Oh no, Jesus, you can't wash my feet." And Jesus said, "Well, Peter, you don't understand what I'm doing, but if I don't wash your feet, then you ain't a part of me." And he said, "Well, in that case, I want you to wash my hands and my head too. Wash everything." He really wanted to be a part of Jesus. So that happens. He washes their hands and feet, and he dries them. And then he tells them, hey, the servant can't be greater than the master. And at the end of the day, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to serve. So some things that stuck out to me was this: the table and the dirty feet. The disciples brought their dirty feet. What is dirty feet to us? Dirty feet is baggage that we all carry. Dirty feet is those small voices that stays in our mind that constantly say, what about me? There need to be first to be seen, the mask that we wear to look strong and successful while we hide behind our weaknesses and struggles for approval. Our baggage and our dirty feet are those things that stay constantly on our mind, anxiety. It's all those hidden parts of us that we bring to the table. And instead of Jesus just flying off the handle and say, why y'all ain't wash y'all hands? You know the customs, because the custom was to clean your feet before you got to the table. I mean, we still do that today. Wash your hands before you come sitting at the table touching all the food. But he allowed them to have a meal. The meal that's nourishing them, that's feeding them, that's giving them life. He gave them life, and he sat and ate with them, regardless of their dirty feet, regardless of the baggage that they brought. And that's what we're called to do. That's what we try to do here at Cornerstone. Regardless of what you're bringing in, we welcome you here just as you are, not trying to change you, not trying to make you something that you aren't, but it's giving the space so you can let go of all that you brought in and come out fresher than what you were when you walked through the doors. So another thing that stuck out to me is that he said that they were already clean. When Peter said, hey, you can't do this and wash all this, he said, Peter, you're already clean. What I'm doing is just washing your feet. We already come from a place of belongingness. There was a time when I was younger in the South, they would say, I would wonder why every so often people would come back and they would say, well, I want to get baptized again. I want to rededicate my life to God. And I asked the question, I said, so every time we do something that's supposedly a sin, we got to keep telling God over and over to get rebaptized? We got to keep rededicating our lives? And it was a challenge. So it was like, yes, this is how you do it. You sin, you come back, you ask for forgiveness, and you got to keep trying to prove yourself and prove your worth. And God says, and this is, you're already clean. No matter what dirt that comes on your feet, no matter what you bring in, it doesn't change your status with me. Walking through life, you're going to get dirty. The white towel, if you ever had a white towel, it's very humbling. You can bathe with any other colored towel and you're like, oh, I wasn't so bad. Get you a white towel, and you would realize, you'd be like, all I did was sit and watch TV. You would be surprised how much dirt comes off of you just sitting down watching TV, honey. And that's how life is. You can be at your home, and guess what? A thought gonna come in your head. Something is gonna come and try to put something on you. You can sit with yourself, and yourself can be torment. And that's what the washing does. The washing renews your mind. It washes it to try to get some of this stuff off of you. Not because you're unclean, but because I can't expect you to walk through life and help somebody else. If you can't, I can't ask you to carry this for me, and you sitting here with your hand full of stuff. It's to lighten this load so you can't be able to carry somebody else's burden and help them out. Another thing with the towel, it's for absorbing things. If you like Bounty, even the paper towels, Bounty says it's the quilted, quicker, picker, upper. It cleans mess, gets this stuff up, and it absorbs this mess. And that's what we're called to do. Absorb some of this stuff. Clean up some messes. That's listening to somebody. Simple task. Service isn't all about doing. Sometimes service is just listening. Sometimes service is just showing up. Absorbing some of this pain that other people are carrying. Acknowledging. They use the frame woke. Maybe your towel is waking up and seeing there's stuff going on. And making people aware that, hey, just because I'm good, it may not mean you're good. When you look at taxes and stuff, if you're in a higher bracket, you may say, I don't see the problem. Until you talk to somebody else in a lower status and say, well, how is this affecting you? And you realize, oh, I'm blinded by my own status. That's why you got to flip it upside down, or not just think about yourself and where you are, but think about somebody else that's in a lower status than you. Another thing with the towel, if you from the South, I'm from Alabama, so I don't know if y'all do this up north, but towels in the bathroom ain't for using. It's for decorations. You get your embroidery, you get all your little fancy stuff on the towel. You go in these people's bathrooms and you try to wash your hands on their towel, you got a problem. They come back and that towel all wrinkled up. Ooh, child. Don't touch nobody towels in their bathroom. If you in the South, if you go anything less than South Carolina, so warning, if you visit anybody's house and you see towels in the bathroom, it's not for you to be drying your hands on. It's for decoration purposes only. But how many of us is just that? Towels for decoration. Don't put your hands on me. Don't put your dirt on me. I ain't trying to get absorbed. Nothing that you got. I'm just here for decoration. I serve a purpose, but it ain't taking on your crap. My purpose is to sit here, look good in all my status and all my worth, and tell you how fancy I am, how good I look. But don't put your hands on me. Don't put your stuff on me. I'm not here for washing. I'm not here to dry you. I'm here for one purpose only. And that's the flip side of service. Once you get all these positions and the power that the world tried to tell us, that once you arrive at a certain level, you ain't got to do certain stuff. I was going to do this example with the elders and say, hey, we got an issue in the bathroom and one of us got to go clean it. And I thought to myself, how many people would automatically eliminate Pastor Tracy? Why? Because she the pastor. We find any way to eliminate people to say, well, you know what y'all would have did? Y'all would have picked me. Honestly. That's what would have happened. One, I'm the newest elder. Secondly, I'm the youngest. I'm black. Let's be real. Brittany told me, I've seen you clean before. You can clean real good. But that's what we do. We find reasons. We walk into rooms and we find reasons of why you should do it instead of me. Because I've arrived. I've done my time. It's time for you to do some work and not me. We want to be fancy towels, not towels that actually do the work. But if you are one that want to do the work, I had to tell you this. I've never cleaned anything and didn't get dirty. I wash my car and I'm dirty. The car clean, but now I'm dirty. I clean the floors. The floor clean, now I'm dirty. You can't serve and share somebody's burden and think that you're going to come out clean. But that's the part. We don't want nobody else. I got dirt myself. I can't have your dirt too. But that's what the towel does. It washes everything to make you whole while I carry this until I'm clean. You can put the towel in the washing machine. You can get clean too. But we just want, hey, I just want to look good. So that's what we're called to do. With drying the feet, this also stuck out to me. We like to wash the feet, and sometimes we send people off and say, well, I washed your feet. You good now. You know what happened? And this even happened this morning. I took a shower, and because I just always in rush, go mode, I realized that I don't really dry my feet. I dry everything, and then it's still a little damp, and I put the socks on, and then every now and again, you'll start feeling it. You'll start getting blisters. And if you're not careful, you'll start getting fungus and bacteria, honestly. But sometimes we just want to hurry up and rush and send people on their way, and we even do it with ourselves, that without completely dry feet can cause problems. So sometimes we think, oh, I didn't help you out, and then the person come back and say, hey, I got a little bit more. And you say, nah, come on now, I already helped you. I already washed you, now you want a little bit more. It's an incomplete job. Just because you help somebody today, the moment they ask for a little bit more, you got to complete it. You want the person to feel restored when they leave, not half wet. It's like listening to something. You ever listen to somebody tell you, hey, I want to listen to you, I got time for you, and then all of a sudden they start checking their phone, start looking around with the time and stuff, and guess what? You like, are you really here for me? Or all of a sudden they too busy, and you start thinking, okay, I was almost there, and then you just left me with wet feet. Because then you got distracted, or now you disinterested, and you can tell when a person is kind of disinterested now in what you're talking. They just sit and look at you, don't really respond. That's how it feels to be uncomfortable with wet feet. Like I was deployed one time, and we would have like a shower tent that was like a quarter mile from the living quarters, and we would get clean, and then by the time we walked back and the sand blowing in the wind, we would get back and have a layer of dust on us, and we like, what's the purpose? But it's like you gotta be completely dry, otherwise you step back out and all that dirt makes it muddier. So when you're not completely dry and you want to send people out, they attract more stuff that can actually make the situation even worse. But that's what God did. He not only just washed us, he took the time and the comfort and care to dry our feet. That means he probably went through every pinky toe and the crease of every toe and made sure every pieces and parts of you were dry to send you out on your way. That's how delicate we need to be with others. To not be rushing to get you. Why you ain't better now? You know, it's like with grief. People like, come on, you should be out of this. Instead of taking our time to say, hey, maybe it's a process. Maybe you a little bit more care on the drying process than the washing process. I can't tell you how many times that with the washing and renewal, you walk into situations, and I used to carry guilt and shame and condemnation that every time I get ready to walk through the doors, it's like it comes back on you. It's like walking out into the world and the dirt get back on you. So all my thoughts and all that stuff comes back on you. So I had to constantly ask God to renew my mind. I would constantly walk through church and like, oh, I feel better. Then the moment I step out the doors, there go the dirt again. That's why he's saying you're clean, but sometimes dirt get on you. And sometimes you need others and God to help wash some of this stuff off so that you can feel renewed and re-strengthened to be able to walk back into the world. The world judges and rejects dirty feet, but God calls us to grace and forgiveness. Let us not be people that don't accept all at the table. Let us not sit here and focus on who came to the table with dirty feet, that we can't have a meal with them. Let us be people that not only sits and eat with them, but wash their feet, dries their feet, and exchange dignity and respect for them. Dave? Sometimes we feel too messy, too broken, too dirty to sit at the Lord's table. Sometimes we get out of church, get out of the people that matters to us because we're like, I can't come to them with this. But God still washes dirty feet. So no matter what you came in here with, whatever baggage you brought to the table, sometimes we need to be able to kick our feet up and say, this is me. And this is what I brought with me. And instead of God judging you, God stops the world, grabs a towel, and the almighty God that rules the world kneels down at our feet. Talk about a power shift. He kneels down to cleanse us, refresh us, and restore to us all that's lost and broken. He doesn't push us away because you're dirty and the junk that we've collected on the way. He meets us right where we are, and he washes us clean with his love. So the invitation today is simple. If you're carrying dirt, and we offer this space for you to come and let God wash your feet. Matt usually does a foot washing service, but I'm not going to wash your feet. Not because I don't love you, but because the washing that God will do for you is far greater than anything that I can imagine to do for you. So whatever you have, even if it's getting down to wash somebody's feet is very intimate. I got messed up feet. So for me to take off my socks and shoes for anybody, you got to be very intimate and personal. So it's a vulnerability to say, God, I show you my dirty feet. I don't have to hide it. I don't have to hide the parts of me that, even the parts I don't like. I can show them to you and know that you're going to handle me with care and dignity. So if that's you, or you need a refreshing or that closer relationship with God, for him to be right at your feet, then I invite you to come. Amen.